October 14, 1943. 6:12 hours. South of the village of Sinyavino, Leningrad Oblast, Eastern Front. The forward platoon occupies a shallow trench line cut into frozen loam, 38 meters from the tree line. German infantry is already inside the trees. Machine gun fire comes from 3 directions. Artillery is falling behind the position, walking forward in 50-meter increments. The last Soviet field telephone was cut at 6:09. The nearest friendly company is 620 meters to the rear and no longer responding. Retreat is impossible. The trench behind them has collapsed under shellfire. The ground between positions is open and swept by MG-42 fire at a measured rate of 1,200 rounds per minute. Surrender is irrational. Waffen-SS units were reported in the sector the previous evening. Prisoners taken in this zone have not been recorded since September. Remaining ammunition totals 312 rifle rounds, 4 F-1 grenades, and 1 DP-27 drum with 23 cartridges left. At 6:13, a runner attempts to cross left. He is hit at 14 meters. He does not move again. The platoon now numbers 11 effectives. German strength is estimated at no fewer than 120 men, supported by at least 2 medium machine guns and indirect fire from 81 mm mortars. The temperature is -2 degrees Celsius. Breath is visible. Fingers are numb. Weapons jam if not cycled continuously. At 6:14, a flare goes up from the tree line. Red. This indicates the assault phase has begun. The Soviet position has no depth, no reserves, and no remaining communication with battalion command. The men are ordered to hold until relieved. Relief is not coming. All available indicators suggest the position will be overrun within minutes. At this moment, death is the expected outcome. No one speaks. There is no confusion about the tactical reality. The only uncertainty remaining is how long the position can delay the advance before it ceases to exist. 28 months earlier. March 1941. Klin, Moscow Oblast. Before the war, Senior Sergeant Ivan Mikhailovich Sokolov worked as a lathe operator at Factory No. 12, producing standardized steel bushings for agricultural machinery. The work required precision within fractions of a millimeter. He worked the early shift. 6 days a week. Payment was fixed. Overtime was irregular and usually unpaid. He lived in a shared apartment on Gagarin Street. 2 rooms. A coal stove in the kitchen. His wife, Anna Sergeyevna, worked as a clerk at the local post office. Their son was 4 years old in the spring of 1941. Ivan walked him to the courtyard in the evenings. They owned no radio. News traveled by word of mouth and printed notices posted at the factory gates. There is nothing in surviving records to suggest political engagement or exceptional behavior. He was not a party member. He did not volunteer for auxiliary organizations. His factory file notes him as technically competent, reserved, punctual. He missed work twice in 5 years due to influenza. No disciplinary actions are recorded. On June 22, 1941, the factory siren sounded at 12 o'clock hours. Work stopped. A notice was read aloud by the shift foreman. By evening, Klin railway station was crowded with men carrying small bags and paper orders. Ivan reported to the district enlistment office on June 24 at 8:40 hours. He was issued temporary papers and told to return in 3 days. Anna packed bread and boiled potatoes. They did not discuss the duration of the separation. No letters mention expectation of return by a specific date. There was no language of sacrifice or inevitability. Only logistical preparation. On June 27, Ivan was assigned to the 281st Rifle Division, then forming outside Yaroslavl. He left Klin by freight train at 21:15 hours. The train was overcrowded. Men stood in the aisles. Windows were sealed with plywood. The journey took 14 hours. The civilian life he left behind was unremarkable and easily replaced. Another lathe operator took his position within a week. His family received ration adjustments. The apartment was unchanged. The factory met its quarterly output targets. No part of this life indicated future distinction. There was no separation between Ivan Sokolov and thousands of others mobilized that summer. His absence created no measurable disruption. By September 1941, his former routines were already irrelevant. July-November 1941. Training took place at a temporary camp near Yaroslavl. The ground was sandy. Barracks were unfinished. Weapons were issued inconsistently. Ivan Sokolov was assigned to 3rd Battalion, 1042nd Rifle Regiment, 281st Rifle Division. His initial rank was Red Army Private. Advancement came later through attrition rather than selection. Training consisted of basic drill, rifle maintenance, and field movement. Live-fire exercises were limited. Ammunition allocation was 10 rounds per man per week. Instruction emphasized holding ground and maintaining formation under fire. Little time was spent on withdrawal procedures. Losses were assumed. By October 1941, the division was moved west by rail and truck toward the Fokhov Front. Cold weather set in early. Winter uniforms were incomplete. Foot wraps froze overnight. Frostbite cases were recorded before first contact with the enemy. Ivan's first combat engagement occurred on October 29, 1941 near the village of Pogosty. The battalion was ordered to advance across 400 meters of open ground toward a German-held railway embankment. The attack began at 7:20 hours. Visibility was poor due to fog. German machine guns opened fire within 2 minutes. The platoon commander was killed almost immediately. 2 squads halted and went to ground. Orders could not be transmitted forward or back. Ivan advanced 10 meters, then another 5. He expended 12 rounds before taking cover in a shell crater. By 7:34 hours, the attack had stalled completely. At 7:41, German artillery began firing airburst shells over the field. Casualties increased sharply. Wounded men could not be evacuated. Medical personnel were pinned down. At 8:05, a withdrawal order was issued, but reached only part of the line. Several men did not hear it. Ivan remained in the crater with another private for 19 minutes after the withdrawal began. When firing subsided, they crawled back. The other private was hit at close range by small arms fire during the return. Ivan did not stop. He later reported the incident without elaboration. The battalion lost 173 men that morning. No ground was taken. German losses were estimated at fewer than 20. This engagement established a pattern. Attacks were ordered without sufficient artillery preparation. Communications failed regularly. Casualties accumulated faster than replacements arrived. Ivan learned to assess the sound of incoming fire, the intervals between salvos, and the difference between suppressive and preparatory barrages. By January 1942, Ivan was promoted to corporal and then to junior sergeant. The promotions followed the deaths of his immediate superiors. He was assigned as acting squad leader. The squad averaged 7 men, rarely at full strength. In April 1942, during fighting near Myasnoye Bor, his unit was encircled for 6 days. Rations were reduced to 300 grams of bread per man per day. Water was collected from melted snow. On the 4th day, a wounded soldier began screaming uncontrollably during an artillery barrage. Ivan struck him twice to silence him. The man survived. No report was filed. The breakout occurred at night on April 18. Of the original 42 men in the company, 19 returned. Ivan carried a light machine gun for 600 meters under fire, despite not being assigned as gunner. This action was noted briefly in a regimental after-action report. No decoration followed. By late 1942, Ivan held the rank of senior sergeant. He commanded a platoon in practice, though officially assigned as deputy platoon leader. He no longer expected orders to arrive on time. He relied on observation, timing, and the assumption that support would be late or absent. One incident in August 1942 proved decisive. During a defensive action near the Mga River, a retreat order was delayed. Ivan's platoon held its position for 40 minutes after adjacent units withdrew. When German infantry entered the position from the flank, Ivan ordered immediate disengagement without waiting for confirmation. 3 men escaped with him. 7 did not. An inquiry followed. Ivan was questioned for 12 minutes. He stated that remaining would have resulted in total loss of the platoon. The inquiry concluded with a verbal warning for failure to maintain position. No further action was taken. From that point forward, Ivan did not assume that orders reflected current conditions. He assumed they reflected conditions that no longer existed. This assumption would govern his actions later. October 14, 1943. 6:15 hours. South of Sinyavino. The German preparatory fire lifts. Mortar impacts shift 60 meters to the rear. This indicates infantry movement forward. Ivan Sokolov registers the change without comment. He checks his wristwatch. The glass is cracked. It is still running. He moves along the trench, crouched. 11 men. 2 wounded. 1 with a leg wound, bleeding controlled with a field dressing applied at 6:11. Another with shrapnel in the shoulder, unable to raise his rifle. No morphine remains. The platoon medic was killed at 5:58. At 6:16, the DP-27 jams. The gunner clears it manually. This takes 14 seconds. During this interval, German rifle fire increases. Individual shots become short bursts. This suggests closing distance. Estimated range now 90 meters. A shouted order is heard in German from the treeline. It is not translated. It does not need to be. Movement follows immediately. Dark figures appear between trunks. Ivan counts quickly. At least 2 squads advancing in dispersed formation. He signals to hold fire. The men hesitate. 1 fires prematurely. The shot goes high. German return fire concentrates on the muzzle flash. The firing soldier is hit twice in the chest at 6 hours 17 minutes and 22 seconds. He collapses backward into the trench. He is dead before hitting the ground. Ivan does not react verbally. He pulls the body aside to clear the firing step. He checks ammunition again. Most rifles are down to fewer than 10 rounds. Grenades are held back. He intends to use them only if the Germans enter the trench. At 6:18, the left flank collapses. A section of trench caves in under machine gun fire. 2 men attempt to move right. 1 trips. The other does not stop. This leaves a gap of approximately 12 meters. Ivan understands the implication immediately. The position can now be rolled from the flank within 1 minute. He considers the standing order. Hold until relieved. He considers the terrain. Behind the position, 180 meters of shallow ground slope toward a frozen drainage ditch. Beyond it, a low rise offers partial defilade. Reaching it under fire will take at least 40 seconds. He recalls August 1942. The delayed order. The encirclement that followed. 7 men lost while waiting. At 6 hours 18 minutes and 40 seconds, a German machine gun opens fire from the left, enfilading the trench. The wounded man with the shoulder injury begins shouting. Ivan strikes him once, hard, to stop the noise. The man goes silent. Ivan makes a decision. At 6 hours and 19 minutes, he orders smoke grenades thrown to the rear. Only one functions properly. The smoke is thin and uneven. It will last less than a minute. He does not order a full withdrawal. He orders movement in pairs, staggered by 5 seconds. This reduces immediate detection but increases the chance of isolation. He accepts this trade. At 6 hours 19 minutes and 15 seconds, the first pair moves. One is hit immediately. The second continues. Ivan watches without changing the plan. At 6 hours 19 minutes and 40 seconds, German infantry enters the trench at the left gap. Grenades are thrown. One detonates inside the trench at 6 hours 19 minutes and 47 seconds. 2 Soviet soldiers are killed instantly. Ivan is knocked down by concussion. He regains his feet within 4 seconds. He fires his rifle until empty. 7 rounds. He does not reload. He drops the rifle and takes the DP-27 drum from the fallen gunner. He knows it contains 23 rounds. He counts the bursts. Short. Controlled. At 6 hours 20 minutes and 30 seconds, he fires the last round. At 6 hours 20 minutes and 35 seconds, he orders the remaining men to run. He is the last to leave the trench. At 6 hours 20 minutes and 50 seconds, he crosses the drainage ditch under fire. He falls once. He gets up. He does not look back. The trench is fully occupied by German forces at 6:21. The position ceases to exist. October 14, 1943. By 7:10 hours. The engagement is over in 48 minutes. Of the original platoon strength of 34 men at dawn, 23 are confirmed killed. 4 are listed as missing. 7 reach Soviet lines by 06:47 hours. 2 of those 7 are wounded. 1 dies later the same day from blood loss. Total effective survivors, 4. Ammunition expenditure is reconstructed from after-action reports and survivor testimony. Approximately 1,140 rifle rounds fired from the position. All grenades expended. The DP-27 light machine gun fired an estimated 217 rounds before jamming permanently. No heavy weapons were available. No artillery support was delivered during the engagement window. German casualties are not precisely known. Soviet estimates recorded later that day list 17 German dead observed in and around the trench line, with an additional unknown number wounded. No bodies were recovered by Soviet forces. The estimate is based on visible impacts, blood trails, and 1 grenade detonation inside the trench during the final minutes. Terrain outcome is clear. The German advance gains 420 meters of frontage and breaches the forward defensive belt south of Sinyavino. The drainage ditch and low rise briefly delay further movement until Soviet artillery engages the area at 8:30 hours. By then, the original platoon position has been erased by shellfire and trampling. Ivan Sokolov reaches battalion command post at 7:02 hours. He reports with 2 other men. He gives a factual account. Times. Distances. Ammunition counts. He does not describe individual deaths unless asked. The battalion commander listens without interruption. He marks the map. He notes the timing of the withdrawal order relative to the enemy assault. He asks one question: why the withdrawal was initiated without confirmation. Ivan replies that confirmation would have arrived too late. There is no immediate response. At 11:40 hours, a written notation is added to the battalion log. The platoon is listed as destroyed in position after delaying enemy advance. No mention is made of the withdrawal. No reprimand is issued. No commendation is recommended. Replacement platoons occupy a new line 300 meters to the rear by nightfall. The ground gained by the German assault is partially retaken 3 days later at the cost of 112 Soviet casualties. The original trench is not reoccupied. It no longer offers cover. By the end of October, the front stabilizes. The engagement is not referenced in divisional histories beyond a single line. February 1944 to September 1946. Ivan Sokolov remains with the 281st Rifle Division through the winter of 1943–44. He is reassigned to a newly formed platoon in December. The platoon reaches full strength twice. It does not remain so for more than 3 weeks at any point. In June 1944, during the Leningrad-Novgorod offensive, the division advances west. Resistance is inconsistent. German units withdraw more frequently than they stand. Ivan is wounded on July 3, 1944 by shell fragments to the left thigh near Pskov. The wound is shallow. He is evacuated by cart and then truck. He returns to duty after 12 days. He is promoted to Starshina in August 1944. The promotion is administrative. It reflects seniority and survival rather than distinction. He is assigned responsibility for rations, ammunition accounting, and discipline within the company. He does not command men in combat after this point. He observes engagements from secondary positions. He records losses. In January 1945, the division enters East Prussia. Combat intensity increases again. Civilian movement clogs roads. Supply lines are irregular. Ivan notes in his field notebook that ammunition deliveries arrive late on 4 consecutive days. He makes no comment beyond this. On April 9, 1945, Königsberg falls. Ivan is present in the rear area during the final assault. He hears artillery continuously for 14 hours. He does not fire his weapon. On May 2, 1945, his unit is informed of the German surrender in the sector. The announcement is made at 16:30 hours. There is no immediate reaction. Men sit or stand. Some smoke. One man sleeps through it. Ivan is demobilized in September 1946. He returns to Klin by train. The journey takes 19 hours. He carries the same small bag he took in 1941, now repaired twice. His wife recognizes him at the platform. His son does not. The child is 9 years old. Ivan resumes work at factory number 12 in November 1946. He is assigned to a different machine. Output norms have increased. The workday is longer. His hands shake slightly in the mornings. This is not recorded. It does not affect production beyond acceptable tolerances. He does not join veterans organizations. He does not apply for benefits beyond those automatically issued. He keeps his service papers in a drawer. He does not display medals. He received none beyond the standard campaign awards. When asked about the war, he answers questions directly and briefly. He does not volunteer information. He does not correct others' accounts unless they involve specific dates or locations. He avoids discussing October 1943 entirely. By 1952, there is nothing outwardly to distinguish him from other factory workers of similar age. His name appears on no monuments. His platoon is not mentioned in published histories. He lives the remainder of his life without public acknowledgement of the decisions he made under fire. There is no record of the engagement south of Sinyavino beyond battalion-level paperwork. No photographs exist. No personal letters describe it. The ground where the trench line ran was leveled repeatedly by artillery before the end of 1943. From a tactical standpoint, the platoon delayed a German advance for less than 1 hour. This delay allowed a secondary line to be occupied and supplied. The cost was effectively total. Ivan Sokolov's decision at 6:19 hours did not alter the course of the operation. It did not change the front. It did not produce a measurable advantage beyond minutes gained and meters denied. It did, however, determine how many men left the position alive. The decision was not based on bravery or defiance. It was based on prior observation, how long orders took to arrive, how quickly flanks collapsed, how silence preceded encirclement. It was a judgment formed from accumulated failures rather than ideals. Such decisions were made thousands of times across the Eastern Front. Most were not recorded. Some were punished. Some were ignored. Very few were examined. War at this scale did not hinge on singular acts. It progressed through routine destruction, administered by individuals making narrow choices under extreme constraints. The trench south of Sinyavino was one of many. The men in it were replaceable. The decision made there was not